I didn't ask if the wine was good. I didn't ask if the steak was tender. I walked up the driveway of the house I paid for, keyed the code into the smart lock I installed, and kicked the front door open so hard the handle punched a hole in the drywall. My mother dropped a mug of tea, its shattered ceramic and hot liquid exploding across the hardwood floor I'd paid to refinish last year. My father, sitting in his recliner like a king on a throne, jerked upright, the remote clattering out of his hand. "Bruce?" My mom gasped, her hand flying to her chest. "What on earth are you drunk?" I didn't answer. I didn't even blink. I walked straight past the shattered ceramic, boots crunching on the shards, and ripped the power cord of the 65-inch TV out of the wall. The screen went black. "Hey!" My dad was on his feet now, face turning that familiar shade of indignant red. "What the hell is wrong with you? You can't just barge in here and—" "You have 1 week," I said. My voice wasn't loud. It was dead, cold. 7 days, next Sunday by noon. If your keys are still in the lock, I'm changing the barrels and putting your stuff on the curb. They stared at me. Silence. Absolute confused silence. "What are you talking about?" My dad sputtered, trying to regain his authority. "This is our house." "No." I stepped into his personal space, close enough to smell the scotch on his breath. "It's my house. It's my name on the deed. It's my bank account covering the taxes, the insurance, and the heat you're enjoying right now. You're just guests, and your reservation just got canceled." My mom started to cry. That practiced trembling weep she used whenever she wanted to deflect blame. "Bruce, please, I don't understand. What did we do?" "You know exactly what you did," I spat. "Roman." The name hung in the air like a guillotine blade. My mom flinched. My dad looked away, his jaw tightening. They knew. They absolutely knew. 40 minutes ago, my 9-year-old son, Roman, had walked into my apartment. He didn't run to his room to play Roblox. He didn't ask for a snack. He just walked up to me, shivering physically, wrapped his arms around my waist, and buried his face in my shirt. His hands were like ice blocks. I'd asked him what was wrong. It took him 5 minutes to stop his teeth from chattering enough to speak. "Grandma and Grandpa said I wasn't dressed nice enough," he whispered. "So they told me to wait in the car while they went inside to eat with Aunt Sophia." I had frozen. "For how long, Roman?" "I don't know," he said, looking at his shoes. "I watched a movie on my tablet. Then the battery died. Then I counted red cars. It got really cold, Dad. 3 hours. They had left my son in a locked SUV in late November for 3 hours while they sat inside a high-end bistro, eating truffles and drinking wine with my sister, Sophia. They didn't crack a window. They didn't bring him a snack. They didn't check on him. He was fine," my dad tried to argue now, though his voice wavered. "We parked right in front. We could see the car from the table. It was a lesson, Bruce. He was acting out, refusing to wear that jacket your mother bought him. We couldn't take him into a place like Le Jardin looking like a slob. Sophia's kids were dressed perfectly." I laughed. It was a dark, ugly sound that scared me a little. "A lesson? You call hypothermia a lesson?" "Oh, stop being dramatic." My mom waved a hand, wiping her eyes instantly. "It's 50 degrees out. He wasn't going to freeze. We brought him a dessert when we came out. We just wanted to have a nice family dinner without him making a scene." "A family dinner," I repeated, "with Sophia and her kids, but not mine." "Well, Sophia's children know how to behave," my mom snapped, the mask slipping. "They sit still. Roman is difficult. He's always fidgeting. We just wanted peace, Bruce. You make everything such a production." That was it. That was the moment the last thread of obligation snapped. I reached into my pocket, pulled out a folded piece of paper, the receipt for the property tax I had just paid yesterday, and crumpled it in my fist. Then I threw it at my father's chest. "You like Sophia's kids so much? Go live with Sophia." "You can't do this," my dad growled, pointing a finger at me. "We raised you. We sacrificed for you. This house was a gift." "It was a loan," I corrected him. "A loan of shelter because you blew your retirement funding Sophia's failed bakery. A loan I am calling in. You have 7 days. Start packing." I turned around and walked out. My dad was shouting something about lawyers. My mom was screaming that I was an ungrateful brat. I didn't look back. I got in my truck, gripped the steering wheel until my knuckles turned white, and screamed. Just once. A raw, guttural roar that tore at my throat. Then I drove home to make my son hot cocoa. I wish I could say that was the end of it, that they packed their bags, learned their lesson, and we all moved on. But narcissists don't fold that easily. They double down. The next morning, Monday, I was at work. I run a logistics company, managing fleets of trucks, so I don't have time for nonsense when my phone blew up. Sophia. I let it go to voicemail. She called again and again. Then the texts started coming. Sophia. "Are you insane? Mom is hysterical. Dad's blood pressure is through the roof. You're going to kill him. Sophia. Pick up the phone, Bruce. You can't kick them out. Sophia. They're elderly. This is elder abuse. I sat in my office, staring at the phone spinning on my desk. Elder abuse? Leaving a 9-year-old alone in a freezing car in a downtown parking lot while you eat a $200 meal? That's abuse. I waited until lunch to call her back. I put it on speaker so I could keep working on my spreadsheets. What? I answered. You are a monster. Sophia didn't say hello. She just launched. Mom says you threatened to throw their furniture on the street over a misunderstanding. They left Roman in a car for 3 hours, Sophia. Did you know that? While you were stuffing your face with risotto, my son was shivering in the parking lot. Oh my God, stop exaggerating, she huffed. Mom said the heat was running. I have the spare key to that SUV, I said calmly. The engine logs show it was off for 3 hours and 14 minutes. Try again. Silence on the line, she scrambled for a pivot. Okay, fine. Maybe they made a bad call. But you don't evict your parents over a bad call. Where are they supposed to go? They can't afford rent in this city. Their pension is tiny. They can come live with you, I suggested. You have that 4-bedroom place in the suburbs, right? The one Dad helped you with the down payment for. Are you kidding? Her voice pitched up an octave. I can't have them here. The twins need their space. And Mike would flip out. We don't have room for 2 old people and all their junk. I chuckled. So, they're too much of a burden for you, the daughter they worship. But I'm supposed to house them after they endangered my son? Not happening. You have the money, Bruce. You're rich. It's nothing to you. It's not about the money, I said, leaning back in my chair. It's about the fact that they looked at my son, my flesh and blood, and decided he wasn't worth a seat at the table. And you? You sat there and let it happen. You didn't ask where he was. You didn't think, hey, maybe my nephew shouldn't be alone in a parking lot. I thought he was at a friend's house, she lied. I could hear it in her voice. You're a liar, Sophia. Just like them, 7 days. Tell them to save the cardboard boxes from their Amazon deliveries. They're gonna need them. I hung up and blocked her number for the rest of the workday. When I got home that evening, Roman was sitting on the floor of the living room, building a Lego set I'd bought him to cheer him up. He looked up, eyes wide. Dad, is Grandma mad at me? My heart broke. I knelt down, pulling him into a hug. No, buddy, Grandma isn't mad at you. Grandma and Grandpa made a huge mistake, a dangerous mistake. And now they have to deal with the consequences. You did nothing wrong, you hear me? Nothing. He nodded, but I could tell he didn't fully believe it. That's the thing about toxicity. It seeps into kids. It makes them think they're the problem. Wednesday came. 3 days left. I hadn't heard from my parents since the blowout. I expected them to be packing. I should have known better. I drove by the house on my way home from the gym. The lights were on. My dad's car was in the driveway. No moving van, no boxes on the curb. In fact, I could see them through the window. They were watching TV. They were calling my bluff. They thought because I'd always been the responsible one, the one who fixed the flat tires and paid the medical bills and bailed Sophia out of debt, that I wouldn't actually go through with it. They thought I was soft. I pulled out my phone and called my lawyer, Gary. Gary, it's Bruce. I need an eviction notice drawn up, formal, sheriff involved, the whole 9 yards. They didn't leave? Gary asked. He knew the situation. He was the one who drafted the deed transfer years ago, the one where I kept the title specifically for a scenario like this, though I hoped I'd never use it. No, they're digging in. All right, since there's no formal lease, they are technically tenants at will. In this state, you have to give 30 days legally, but didn't you say there was a clause in the private agreement about conduct detrimental to the property or owner? Clause 4B, I recited. Conduct endangering the owner or owner's immediate family allows for immediate termination of occupancy. I love it when clients read the fine print, Gary laughed. I'll have the courier serve them tomorrow morning. It'll scare the hell out of them. Thursday morning. The courier served them at 8 a.m. My dad called me at 8:05 a.m. You served us papers? He was screaming so loud the speaker distorted. Legal papers? To your own father? You have 3 days left, I said. The clock is ticking. Roman, Dad's name was Frank, my son was named after my grandfather. But let's stick to the prompt names. Wait, the prompt says the characters are Bruce, Roman, and Sophia, so the son is Roman. The dad needs a name or just Dad. I'll call him Dad. You listen to me, Dad yelled. We aren't going anywhere. I spoke to a lawyer friend of mine. Squatters' rights. You can't just throw us out. Squatters' rights don't apply when you signed a contract acknowledging immediate termination for endangerment, I said. And if you want to play legal chicken, I'll file a police report for child endangerment regarding what happened Sunday. I have the restaurant receipts timestamped. I have the GPS data from your car showing it didn't move. Do you want a child neglect charge on your record at 65? The line went dead. Friday, 2 days left. The flying monkeys arrived. My Aunt Linda, Mom's sister, called me, weeping about how cruel I was being. My cousin Mark sent me a long Facebook message about honoring thy father and mother. I replied to Mark with one sentence. They left a 9-year-old in a freezing car for 3 hours to eat lobster. If you care so much, give them your spare room. Mark blocked me. Saturday, the day before the deadline, I went to the house. I didn't go inside. I just stood on the lawn. I saw movement in the windows. Frantic movement. Finally, they were packing. My mom came out onto the porch. She looked 10 years older than she had last week. Her eyes were puffy. "Bruce," she said. Her voice was small. "Where are we supposed to go?" "You have savings," I said, crossing my arms. "You have Social Security. You can rent a condo, or go to a hotel until you figure it out." "We can't afford the lifestyle we're used to," she whispered. "Then get used to a different lifestyle." "How can you be so cold?" She gripped the railing. "We raised you." "You raised me to handle myself," I said. "And you raised Sophia to be helpless. And you treated my son like an accessory you could toss in the trunk when he didn't match your outfit." "I'm not cold, Mom. I'm protective. There's a difference." "He's fine," she snapped, the anger flaring again. "He didn't die. Why are you destroying the family over nothing?" "Nothing?" I stepped closer. "He sat in that car wondering why he wasn't good enough to eat with you. He sat there freezing, thinking he was being punished for existing. That's not nothing. That is trauma, and I am cutting out the cancer before it spreads." "We're your cancer," she choked out. "Right now?" "Yes." Sunday, noon. I pulled up with a locksmith and 2 off-duty cops I'd hired for security detail. Overkill? Maybe. But I wasn't taking chances. The driveway was empty. The garage was open and empty. I walked to the door, unlocked. I stepped inside. The house echoed. They had taken everything. The furniture I bought them, gone. The TV I ripped out of the wall, gone. They even took the light bulbs from the hallway fixtures, petty to the end. But they were gone. "Change it," I told the locksmith. "Every door, deadbolts, smart codes, everything." As the locksmith drilled, I stood in the empty living room. I expected to feel guilty. I expected to feel sad. I felt light. I felt like I could breathe for the first time in years. 2 weeks passed. Silence. I focused on Roman. We went hiking. We built more Legos. I took him to a real Italian restaurant, and we ordered everything on the menu, and I let him wear his beat-up sneakers and his favorite hoodie, and we laughed until soda came out of his nose. He was happy. Then came the call. It wasn't Sophia. It wasn't my parents. It was a hospital chaplain. "Is this Bruce?" "Yeah. I'm calling from St. Jude's Medical Center. Your father, Frank, has been admitted. He suffered a myocardial infarction, a heart attack, about an hour ago." My stomach dropped. Not from grief, but from that heavy, dull thud of obligation. "Is he alive?" "He is. He's stabilized, but it was severe. He's asking for you." I looked at Roman, who was doing homework at the kitchen table. He looked so peaceful. "I'll be there," I said. I didn't rush. I didn't speed. I dropped Roman off at a friend's house, a trusted friend, and drove to the hospital doing exactly the speed limit. When I walked into the ICU room, my dad looked small. Wires everywhere. The monitor beeping rhythmically. My mom was sitting in the chair next to the bed, holding his hand. Sophia was there too, scrolling on her phone in the corner. When I entered, Sophia jumped up. "You did this!" she hissed, pointing a manicured nail at me. "The stress caused this. Are you happy now? You almost killed him." "Sophia, sit down," I said. My voice was calm, deep, and filled the room. She froze, then sat. I walked to the bed. My dad opened his eyes. They were watery, yellowed. "Bruce," he wheezed. "I'm here. He struggled for breath. "We're staying at a Motel 6. It's filthy. The bed bugs." "That sounds rough," I said. "We need to come home," he whispered. "Please, I'm a sick man now. I can't recover in a motel." My mom looked up at me, eyes wide with hope. "Bruce, please, just until he gets better. The doctor says he needs rest, stress-free environment." I looked at them. I looked at the fear in their eyes. For a second, I felt the pull, the old programming. Fix it. Be the good son. Write the check. Then I remembered Roman shivering. I remembered he wasn't dressed nice enough. "No," I said. The room went silent. The monitor beeped louder. "What?" my mom gasped. "No," I repeated. "You aren't coming back to the house. I already listed it for rent. I have tenants moving in on the first of the month. You rented our home? Dad rasped, his monitor spiking. My home, I corrected. And yes, but I'm not a monster. I'll pay for a clearer apartment for you. First and last month, 3 months of rent. After that, you're on your own. You figure it out with Sophia. I turned to my sister. You're up, sis. Step up or shut up. Sophia looked like she'd swallowed a lemon. We can't afford. Then get a job, I said. Or sell that Range Rover I know you can't afford the payments on. I turned back to my dad. I will make sure you don't die on the street, I told him, because I'm a better man than you taught me to be. But you will never, ever be alone with my son again. You lost that privilege. You lost the house. You lost the trust. Bruce, he croaked, a tear leaking out. He's my grandson. He was your grandson in the parking lot, too, I said. Rest up, Dad. I'll text you the details for the apartment. I turned and walked out. Sophia was shouting something behind me. My mom was sobbing. The monitor was beeping faster. I walked out into the cool night air of the hospital parking lot. I looked up at the stars. My phone buzzed. A text from Roman's friend's mom. Roman asks if you can pick up pepperoni pizza on the way to get him. I smiled, a real smile. On my way, I whispered. I got in my truck. I didn't look back at the hospital window. I had a pizza to buy and a son to protect. And for the first time in my life, I knew exactly where my loyalty belonged. Not to the blood that created me, but to the blood I was raising. I started the engine, turned up the radio, and drove away.